Welcome to the Sandhills Podcast. My name is Pastor John, and today's a very special episode because I am my own guest. So that's great. Welcome. It's good to have you. This is episode 15, which is the close of our first season, which is wild to think that this has been going on for 15 weeks now. It's been a really fun journey, and so I'm excited to get to talk to you today about kind of what started this. What have we done this season? Have our goals been met? What are some fun statistics that we've learned from this? What's the ministry that's been going on, and where are we going to be going next? So tune in for that, and I'm excited to get to talk to you guys about this. I'm so used to looking over for a guest and have them introduce themselves, but it's just me. Just you and I having a little conversation about this podcast, which thank you so much for tuning in. And listening or watching or however you consume this podcast. It's been such a blessing to get to serve in a time like 2020 and the beginning of 2021 with the pandemic, where we were looking for ways of how to minister to people online and not in person. And this was one of the big things. We were originally only going to do it for maybe a few episodes, maybe like 3 or 4 episodes. And when I was brought on to staff, I thought, well, why don't we just see what happens with the 15 episodes. We'll see where it goes. And the response has been, honestly, I think better than I could have even imagined. And so I want to tell you all about who I am. I've been, hosting the podcast, but some of you may not know who I am, what my story is. I'm John Daybeck, as you have heard 15 times at the beginning of the podcasts. But I am a graduate of Columbia International University. I graduated with a 5-year BA MDiv, did my undergrad in 3 and my master's in 2, and then was really looking for the Lord's calling. I want to be an Army chaplain, Lord willing, but you have to have 2 years full-time experience as a pastor before you can go into that role in the active duty side. And so I became a chaplain candidate in the reserves. So I'm a first lieutenant in the Army Reserves right now, and I'm doing ministry here at Sandhills. And so praying with Jeff and finding a spot for me to be here was such a joy to come in. It was around September when I came on. And this podcast was always a part of that conversation of what would it look like to do digital ministry as well as in-person ministry in a pastoral position. And so I came on, and this podcast has been one of the highlights of my time here so far. It is a total joy to be a part of it. And it's so weird because I can't see any of you, I can't hear any of you, but I'm just filled with joy when I think about you guys, when I think about getting to have conversations that maybe benefit you, that you enjoy listening to. You guys are the reasons we do this. It's a joy, and I love getting to be a part of it, and I've got an amazing team in Sean and Eric who help us set up and help run the digital side. Eric's sitting behind the camera right now. You can't see it. But he's also happy. It's just so fun getting to do this together and to be a team. And so I wanted to acknowledge everything that they've done. They've put in hours and hours and hours of work. And I'm the guy that hosts it, but they are they get everything. They know what to do. They execute it flawlessly. And it is a joy to have a team like we have with this podcast. And again, it is all for you guys. We love serving you. That is the whole heart of it. So the heart of this season, as you've been listening along, we had kind of a three-part season. The first part was kind of 2020 in review, where we got to talk a lot about the effects of COVID on the church, both Sandhills and kind of the American church at large. And then we also got to have a very candid conversation with Malcolm about race, which if you haven't gotten to listen to that podcast, go back. It's episode 2 and 3. And it is one of the best conversations I've ever had in my life. And I'm so thankful to the Lord that it was able to be recorded, that you guys can listen to it. It is an amazing conversation. And I can speak candidly as someone who was not aware of a lot of racial issues until 2020, to get to sit down with Malcolm and have a brotherly conversation on this is what the experience is, for my brothers and sisters. This is what it can be like. This is how the church can partner to help end that kind of thing. And Galatians shows us that the cross of Christ has brought unity in a way that the world can't even understand. And it's a unity that breaks down all barriers. And so having that conversation with Malcolm was honestly life-changing for me because it was just so beneficial. and I hope it was for you as well. Then we moved on and we started talking about, well, actually, I do want to acknowledge this. The Sandhills Podcast, episode 4 is Pixar Stories and Jesus. I absolutely loved that one. It was a little bit of 2020 in review because we talked about kind of the film industry and stuff, but we also talked about the beauty of storytelling as a part of the Christian narrative. And it's a really fun podcast, and that was a good one. It's always fun to talk about movies. I have a theater background. I did acting in DC, and I had dreams to go to Broadway. That's another story for another time. And so it's always fun to get to talk about movies and things like that. I'm still a big movie nut. Absolutely love it. But then we entered in episode 5, and it continued all the way through kind of episode 11, 12 is kind of where it started to change a little bit. But through that, we kind of had a little time where we got to talk about what's the theology of work? How do you serve God in different capacities and different jobs and different workplaces? And so we took a lot of time to go ahead and explore those through different jobs. I mean, we had a pilot, we had a teacher, we had a car salesman, we had a college football player, we had a college student and a college athlete, we had a police officer, we had a chaplain, we had the president of a nonprofit, and it was amazing to get to go through and hear how each of these people were serving in such diverse jobs and at the same time doing the same ministry, you know, and loving others and showing the love of Christ in their workplace day in and day out, or transforming their workplace to reflect more of Christ and to show people the hope and strength and glory and joy that comes with following Jesus in the workplace. And so that was really cool to get to hear from those experiences. And it's really rich, and it really just continues to show that Christ has made us all equal. We're all together. It doesn't matter if your title's pastor or president, or if you're, you know, on the janitorial staff, or if you have a job where you think, man, there's no way I can serve Jesus in this. The truth is, Christ has put you there for a reason, and we're all serving him no matter what our job title is, and we're all serving him equally as brothers and sisters in Christ. And so that was really fun to get to go through and have those conversations and get to learn so much about jobs that I didn't know much about. And then for about the last 3 to 4 episodes, we really got into theological conversations. What was the ultimate theology of work? What was the theology behind just warfare? What was the theology behind social justice? What's the theology behind the importance of the resurrection? What's the theology of music? And those were cool conversations. And so I have loved how diverse this podcast has been. I mean, if you're listening to this, you've gotten to have a broad kind of brush painting of so many different things. And that's what we want to keep at the heart of this podcast, that we're just going to talk about Jesus. Ultimately, we're talking about Jesus, but it is a diverse world. It's a complex world. And so we're going to address complex and diverse topics. And we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff. I mean, for this next season, I'm really hoping to get to do a few things where we talk about Bible stories, where we kind of digest the text a little bit more. We have times where we're going to talk about mental health and mental wellness, as well as sexuality in America and in the church, and what does biblical sexuality look like, and things like that. Needed conversations, and it's a diverse spectrum. And so I'm really excited for where we get to go, and I'm excited for you guys to join us. And so we'll take a little break for a couple weeks as we kind of regroup and plan out, because we had originally only thought of 30 episodes for 2021, 2 seasons of 15 episodes. But recently we've been approached, and they're like, hey, would you be willing to just kind of like keep doing it? And I kind of turned to Sean and Eric, and I was like, are you guys kind of willing to keep doing this? Like, you guys are the ones that have been doing, you know, just as much, if not more. And we were kind of like, yeah, this is a lot of fun. And it's cool to see it going well. We've had over 700 views on YouTube alone. I'm not totally sure of the statistics for the podcast, but I'm like, man, if we're getting that many views cumulative, most of the time podcasts are consumed through audio and not visual. So if we're getting that many visual, I have no clue how cool it could be going on the, you know, audio realm. And so it's just exciting to be a part of. But if you guys have a question about, hey, I want to talk about this topic. Hey, could you maybe speak a little bit to this? Hey, could you do an episode on this? Or, hey, I know so-and-so who might, you know, want to talk about this with you. We'd love to explore that. Throw it in the comment section. You know, if you're on our YouTube page, you can go into the comments of this podcast and say, hey, I would love to hear about this next season. and we'll take a look at it. And if we can do it, we'll do it. It's exciting. I made a poll on my personal Instagram recently where it was talking about, hey, like, what kind of topics do you want to see? And people want to talk about this stuff. I'll tell you what, one of the biggest lies that the enemy gives you is that people don't want to have spiritual conversations. And that's not true. People have a hunger for spiritual conversations. And so don't shy away from making a recommendation. We would love to talk about topics that you feel like need to be talked about in our faith, in our church. We're here to serve you. That's the whole heart of it. So please tell us. But I'm excited for some of the things that we're going to get to explore next season as we take a lot more fan comments, if you will, of, hey, could you talk about this? And I'll tell you, one of the really exciting things that I would love to try out sometime, and this is still in the dream process, so if you'd be interested in this, you got to let us know. But I would love to do a live recording sometime where people send in questions or comments live and I address them. And we get to have a conversation about them. So if you're interested in that, you got to let us know. But that could be a lot of fun. That could be something we could kind of explore. But we're going to have a lot of diverse and hard conversations next season. But they're going to be good conversations. There'll be conversations that the prayer is that they benefit you and your heart and your walk with God, and they help you share the good news of Jesus Christ with the people all around you. So as I'm kind of looking at what we've talked about, have our goals been accomplished this season? Far and beyond what we expected. Far and beyond. Our original goal was to entertain and educate through a digital platform. And I don't know about y'all, but I've been entertained. It's been a lot of fun to have these conversations. And I've enjoyed them very, very much. And I hope you have as well. But I think that we have really hit the nail on the head for education, because I know that I have learned so much. And if I'm learning so much just facilitating, getting to soak in and just sit there, I hope that this has been an educational season for you guys, that you have learned things, that you've grown in new ways, and that you've experienced the Lord in a new way. So I would definitely say that our goals have been accomplished. And that's, again, the heart of this is to serve you, whoever you are, wherever you are, which, fun fact, we are internationally known. I think we might have one viewer in Canada and maybe England, which is still pretty cool, still pretty dope. Let me look up real quick. I can actually see it on my statistics page. I'll just open this up. If I can't find it in 2 seconds. Here we go. Okay. Yep, we are internationally known. We're verified, everyone. We're there. It is exciting. It is awesome. So it's just fun. And that's the thing that's so cool about digital space, is that you have no idea where it could go to. You have no idea who someone could DM it to, and someone be benefited that I have no idea about. And I just absolutely love that. And so I'm excited for what the Lord's going to do with this. So we've kind of talked about where we've been, what the heart of this was, where we're going. And I'm just so blessed that we get to be going there with you guys. Sorry for that long pause on the audio if you're not watching. My voice was getting a little scratchy, so I took a sip of some water. So there'll be a little tiny pause there for you. But if you're watching, you're like, yeah, you took a drink of some water. I love this job. I love this job so much. It is so much fun to plan these things, to pray over these things, to pray for you guys, and to pray that these are beneficial conversations for you as a joy. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for liking and subscribing and sharing and sending to a friend, like we said. We could not do this without you, and we only do it for you. And it is a joy to get to. I can't say it enough. It is a joy to serve you, whoever you are, wherever you are. I love you in the name of Jesus, and we are praying for you, and we want to help continue, facilitate your spiritual growth. Maybe you've got questions, you're looking for answers. We're here to help to the best of our ability. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you have a blessed week.